Now we're going to talk about the eyes. Our ocular assessment, what we look at, and break that down for you, which is really fun. So the things that I check when it comes to the eyes, developmentally, this is important. First thing that we are able to do developmentally is fixate our eyes. Can we keep our eyes stable when we're seated, lying, and moving? We have to be able to fixate our eyes for every other function to develop. So we have ocular fixation. Then after that, saccades develop. So being able to fixate, jump, and fixate. Jump, fixate. We have to be able to fixate to do a saccade. Then what happens is pursuits develop. So we have, I'm going to do it real quick here. So fixation, saccade, fixation, 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 fixation. So it's a lot of mini fixations that end up turning into smooth movements. So if we can't fixate, we can't saccade. If we can't saccade, we can't eventually develop pursuits. So that's why you might see a kid pursue, and then they have what's called a saccadic intrusion, where their eyes jump and then they go somewhere else because they can't pursue through that because they haven't developed the ability to fixate and saccade appropriately. So that's developmentally the order that develops in. Then we have, so fixations are from our brainstem. So if they can't fixate, we're going to have a brainstem issue. Therefore, we're going to have primitive reflexes. We may have vagal issues. We may have trigeminal issues. We may have all the brainstem stuff that we already learned about. Then saccades is from our frontal cortex and our cerebellum. So our frontal cortex, again, it initiates the movement quickly, and our cerebellum stops it on target. So our right frontal lobe initiates left saccades, and our left cerebellum stops it on target. And then our left frontal lobe initiates a right saccade, and our right cerebellum stops it on target. So if we do a saccade to the right, and it's not very quick, we know it's their left frontal lobes involved. And also, or in conjunction, if they can't stop it accurately on a target, maybe they overshoot or undershoot, it's their right cerebellum's involved. Pursuits is from our parietal lobes in our cerebellum, primarily. So when we pursue to the, make sure I say this right. When we pursue, this is backwards now because this gets a little tricky, so you're going to have to rewatch this a couple times. When we pursue straight horizontally to the right, that's our left cerebellum and our right parietal lobe. Left cerebellum, right parietal lobe. Sorry, I said that backwards. When we pursue to the left, that's our right cerebellum and our left parietal lobe. So this is all based off of our vestibular apparatus. So when we activate our right vestibular system, we're activating our right cerebellum. So if I turn my head straight horizontally to the right, that's the right horizontal canal, and my right cerebellum is coordinating that movement. Therefore, my left parietal lobe is coordinating that. If I go back into the right, my eyes are going down into the left. My right cerebellum is coordinating that movement down to my left. Same with my left parietal lobe. If I go, here's where it gets a little tricky. If I go right anterior canal, right cerebellum is coordinating that, so my eyes are going up into the right. So your right cerebellum coordinates smooth movements up into the right, down into the left, and straight horizontal. So this movement and this movement. So straight horizontal to the left, up into the right, down into the left. And then the opposite is true for my left cerebellum. My left cerebellum coordinates pursuits down into the right, up into the left, straight horizontal across to the right. So if I'm trying to activate the left cerebellum, I can do those eye movements. I can say, hey, I want you to follow my finger up into the left, down into the right, straight horizontal. Now I've just reflexively activated my vestibular system with my eyes because they're linked. So if I move my eyes in those planes, I'm activating that aspect of my vestibular system. Or, here's a weird thought. If you say, I want you to close your eyes and picture yourself spinning in a chair to the left slowly, you're actually activating your vestibular system through your cognitive pathways. So you can improve balance by having them think about the movements that would activate those canals, which is wild. Anyways, back to convergence. Convergence is from our brainstem. So convergence is the ability to converge our eyes in and keep a single image and use both eyes and bring them in together. It gives us depth perception, ability to catch a ball, that type of stuff. Kids that can't catch a ball can't converge typically. Okay, then we have visual suppression, which we use something called a red-green chart with red-green glasses. You have, I think it's red over your right eye, green over your left eye. There's a chart that has a bunch of numbers and letters on it. When they have an overlay, so it's like red, green, red, green, red, green. Well, when the number's covered by red, and you have your right eye has red on it, you can see that letter. But if I have a green lens, green and red makes black, so it turns it black. So if I'm not using both my eyes appropriately, I'll only be able to see green, or I'll only be able to see red ones, which I'm going to show you an example of that here in just a second. So, and then depth perception but we have to be able to converge to create visual. If we have visual suppression, usually we can't converge. And same with depth perception. We can't typically converge well. And then visual tracking with balance, fixations with balance. So when it comes to eye tracking stuff, I primarily focus on being able to eye track and maintain balance at the same time. Okay, so I'm just having him track. I'm at least 18 inches away from his face, tracking side to side, up and down. And then I want to make sure he can converge his eyes.
Convergence is a little bit challenging on his left side. Not bad, he can do it. It's just his left eye isn't quite as fast as his right. Look at my nose.
So I want to always make sure that when we're tracking, I'm noting any saccadic intrusions. I'm noting to see how efficient he can move his eyes. Is horizontal better than up and down? And then depending on their age, I'll run a right eye, because you can pick up a lot of stuff on a right eye that you can't see with a field test. So just FYI there, that device is really helpful for that. Here's his right eye. So the first day is on his left, this on the 18th. So this was last week. So these are all patients that are like really recent. So I try to record them and everything I can with them. But so this was on the 18th, and then the second one was on the 22nd, so 4 days apart. First day, you can see his pursuit system is not well developed. He can't track appropriately side to side. Saccades are really hard for him as well. Fixations overall weren't bad, though. So he was in the 45th percentile. And then, again, we worked on a lot of range of motion. We worked on trying to get rid of that reflexive movement, because if you have a reflexive movement in your muscle tone, well, your neck muscles, your vestibular system, and your eyes, they're all one system. They all work together. So if you have abnormal reflexive movement in your head, well, now your eyes have to try to compensate for that, and they can't develop appropriately. So by getting rid of that, now his eyes can start functioning much better. That's why an eye issue may not be an eye issue, or a neck issue may not be a neck issue. They all work together, so you have to find which systems are weak and then rehab those individually. So just because this kid has an eye tracking issue, we got it better by not doing a single thing with his eyes. All we did was rehab his movement and start activating his balance centers. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple kids' convergence here as well. I use a string called the Brock string for this, which is really helpful, because when you have a Brock string, I make them for next to nothing. When you have a Brock string, it's a string that has beads on it. When you put a bead right in the middle of the string, and you look at that bead, you have two eyes, so you're going to hold the string to your nose, someone else is going to hold it on the other end. And then when I'm looking at that bead, I should actually see the string with this eye and the string with this eye, so it actually crosses right where the bead is. So it should look like a bead with an X of strings. And no matter where I move it, if I move it in farther, it should be an X with string, or a bead with an X, bead with an X, all the way through. That's how you know you're using both eyes. Well, if I'm not using one of my eyes, now I just see one string and one bead. Or if I'm not able to converge my eyes appropriately, now I see two strings with two beads. So it tells you if they're using both their eyes, if they're converging them appropriately, it will show you. And I'm going to show you an example of both of these.
And just inflammation in general can overactive immune system. Put this up to your nose like that.
I do know family history with Ehlers and other things with mast cell dysregulation.
Look right here. Do you see one or two beads?
Two.
You see
No,
two?
actually one, but two strings. two strings going into that bead.
And going away from the bead like you see an X?
Yes.
Can you keep it an X
That's what you should see. You should see an X the whole time.
all the time? Yeah? But out here, can you keep it an X?
Yep.
What about in here? Can you keep it an X?
Yep.
Are you sure? Did you just lose the X?
Nope.
Versus this kid, you're going to hear a couple different things. I'm going to share it with you.
Do you see one or two dots? Beads? Two?
He sees two beads. So if I saw one bead, this is what it looked like. I see two beads. Therefore, my eyes can't converge enough to make it one. Both of his eyes are on. He sees two of everything. He sees double vision all the time. Just wild.
Get out even farther. Do you see one or two beads? You see one out here? Good. So what is that? That's...
So when we get far enough out, so he can't converge his eyes in all the way, so he sees double vision. But once we get far enough out, he can get it to where he can see one. So this is 4.5 feet away from his face. He can get one again. Anything inside of that, he sees double vision. And we wondered why he had trouble reading.
4.5 foot.
This is 5 feet. So everything inside of 4.5 feet, he has double vision with. And then once we get up here,
Watch his left eye.
do you see one bead there yet? So we got two.
Left eye drifts.
You see one bead there, and then do you see
There.
one or two strings going into it?
Sees
One, correct.
one string
Yeah.
with one bead. Because what happens when stuff gets close
Do you see
enough...
one or two dots?
Whoopsies. What happens when stuff gets close enough to him is his left eye drifts, his brain shuts his eye off, now he's only using his right eye. As soon as I see that, I go, does he have trouble catching a ball? They go, yeah, he can't catch a ball to save his life. Because now he has no depth perception. So he sees a ball coming in, he sees one of them. Then when it gets close enough, his eyes can't converge well enough, so he sees two balls coming at him. Then when it gets really close, his eye shuts off. Now he sees one, but he doesn't have depth perception. So no wonder he can't catch a ball. No wonder he has reading issues. If he's looking at a page and there's two of it all the time, and this happens more often than you'd think, is a kid literally sees double all the time, but doesn't know that's not normal. And then you get him to, an eye doctor that maybe puts a little prism in his glasses, pushes his eyes together, and now he sees one, and his reading issue improves like that. And then you get rid of all his primitive reflexes, retrain his vestibular system, get his eyes stronger. Now he can do it naturally. He doesn't need a prism anymore. But in a lot of cases. But it's crazy how many people come to you for a kid that has a reading issue and they've been to tons of eye doctors and no one ever looked to see, can he converge his eyes or does he have double vision all the time? I mean, it drives me nuts. And then so then I have to send him to an eye doctor that actually looks at that stuff. And this should have been caught when the kid was 3 years old. Like, it's crazy. And you're going to see this all the time. You're going to start testing this, and you're going to see kids that, and you say, hey, your kid sees two of everything. Like, this is not normal. They should see one. And the parent's like, well, no, duh, they should see one. And then you have the parent do the test, and they go, oh, I see an X. I see one bead. And then it clicks. They go, oh, my gosh, my kid sees double all the time. How was this not found? And I go, I don't know. So... Okay, this is my red-green chart. So the kid has, I'm going to explain the best I can. The kid has a glasses on that have a red filter on the right eye, green filter on the left eye. So when they look at this chart, if I have a red on my right eye, I can see the reds with my right eye. If I have a green on my left eye, I can see the greens with my left eye. But I can't see the red ones with my left eye because if I have green and red, it makes black. So it blocks it out. So make sure that I'm using both of my eyes. In my right eye, I can't see the green ones when you have these glasses on. So it makes sure that we're using both of our eyes. So if a kid can only read one of them, can only read the greens, it means he's only using one eye.
I think that's a B.
He's reading the first line.
L, B, A, U, M.
Okay, what'd you see there? L-B-A-U-M. So we pretty much just read the green.
Mark some down.
2S4UZ.
2S4, he said U, meant O. Z, just uses left eye. So he's not reading any of the reds.
C7T3R.
Okay,
Look at that.
he got a couple of those in the reds. But meaning what's happening is he's using his left and his brain is shutting off his right eye completely. And then every once in a while I'll kick back in and he'll be able to pick it up, but he has a hard time using his eyes together appropriately. Usually that relates back to a convergence issue, but after we get rid of like his reflex and stuff like that, a lot of times this changes. Or if we give him a prism, sometimes this changes as well. So just a nice little easy test, and it helps parents understand a lot like, hey, your kid isn't using his eyes together at all. And that means like when they go to read, let's say his eyes converge in and he's reading, but then his eyes fatigue out and his brain just shuts it off. It will seem like it moves on the page and it'll turn back on. And so it'll feel like the page is moving a lot when that's going on. Thanks for taking the time to check out this video. To learn more or to schedule an intensive or anything with my team, there's a link below. Just go ahead and click that and that'll get you to the right spot. Have an awesome day.